tonight's layout.
Hold on.
Okay.
Let me go over it.
Okay.
So from now on, we're actually going to be doing only an hour to. We're setting a time for an hour and a half long space. So basically, this is only going to go until what 7:30 Mountain Standard Time.
Yep. Uh,
Okay, and then also we are not allowing any speakers except for the admin that's part of this group, part of Pastime for a Change, track, all of that. And then the special guests, of course. And then once we get done with the topic and people have questions, you can request the mic. Now I'll announce it.
yeah. All right. I just got a
And
text. Yep.
Mitchell,
Yeah.
Mitchell, just so you know, we're only going to be letting two people up at a time with mics to ask questions, and we rotate them out.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Okay. I'll let you
That way we
facilitate
kind of
that.
control the
Yeah.
space. Yeah, that way we can control the space more and
Yep.
don't have all these diversions.
Okay. I just got a text from Lombard. They'll be about 3 to 5 minutes here. They'll be coming on. So he's trying to get them rounded up.
Okay,
So
okay, sounds good.
yep.
That sounds good. Um,
Oh yeah. Okay.
what the heck's bounty?
They're just getting ready. So everybody coming in. So yeah, we're gonna try to follow a little bit more form and manner and tighten up our ship here on Justice's platform and for the sake of the track podcast and things. So
Yeah, because once we start the podcast, it's got to be more structured.
yeah, yep,
So we're getting into the routine of that.
yep.
And I mean, with the track podcast, since we're waiting on the special guest and bounty hunter, apparently. Well, Cooper. I sent Michael the co-host. What the heck?
Yeah.
Oh no, I did it. I did it as pastime for a change. That's why.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he wants the Michael account. That's why. But anyways, so with the track podcast, that is going to be starting hopefully within the next couple of weeks. Um,
Yeah.
but we all are going to be covering different topics. Everybody's going to have their own segments. We will be advertising who's doing what day, what time, all of that,
Yep.
all over social media. So just watch out for the posts and
Yep.
stay tuned.
Yep.
Like I said, hopefully we got that up and going in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. We're gonna be launching it off of Podbean. So, but we just got the account opened up, and then over the next couple of weeks, we'll be developing a simple platform that people will go to where we'll do this actual meeting. We'll start doing it there. So
And like I said,
yeah,
any questions that anyone has that's not a special guest or admin has to wait till towards the end after I announce that you guys can actually come up and
yeah,
answer your questions and put any input on the topic that we talk about.
and they can also post them on your page
Yeah,
and things too.
Yeah,
post
you can
questions.
also go into the bubble and post questions, anything like that.
Yep. So yeah, post a
Mitchell,
comment
why don't you
for
run that?
we're
Like,
doing. What?
Hey, I was away from my phone. Invite the other one up, not this one. Drop me down. Bring up pastime.
Yeah, post a comment.
okay. I wasn't sure which account you wanted.
Okay.
Mitchell, why don't you run
There.
the bubble? And if there's any questions, just bring them up.
Yeah, I'll try to keep a meter.
Like,
Yeah. So down in the corner there where you guys see the little bubble, that I'll try to keep a monitor of that while we're going through things. I did see Mike Lombard just came. He was just in. There he is. Okay. So Mike Lombard, go ahead and request a mic down there, and then the host will get you
no,
approved for
I
that.
already got them.
Okay.
What up, yo?
Yeah.
There we go. There's Mike.
Welcome in, Mr. Lombard. The
Dude, what's a
famous
good word,
Lombard. Not much.
Yeah.
Waiting for you and your group, Truck Parking Club.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm up in it.
This is
I'm
all
up in
about
here.
you guys.
Okay.
Yeah, man. Whatever you
So-
whatever you want to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you-
So I got a question. So
Ignacio, you
just
got to
started.
mute your mic when you're not talking or it echoes back.
Thank you. So you just started working with Truck Parking Club, right?
Yeah, I came on board at the beginning of the year.
Okay. So you know a little bit about what they're trying to do, right?
Yeah, no, I've known about Truck Parking Club essentially since they started. So Evan, their CEO, when he kind of came onto the scene, I immediately he immediately came on my podcast and we had a conversation and we had talked, and I mean we had stayed in regular contact, and I would see him at just about every event. I mean, he was at the Mid America Truck Show. He would go to Broker Carrier Summit. So I would see him in person. I know that at one point he was in town. ATA had a conference in Austin, in Texas, and I had lunch with him. I know that I went to an AmBest conference last year, and Truck Parking Club was there. So I mean, I've known him essentially for over almost basically over 2 years now, since he had started. So I've known about him and known about him for some time.
Yeah, I mean, I know about Truck Parking Club, but some people might not, and I kind of wanted to get that out there.
Yeah. So
And
for
just so
people who
everybody
don't-
knows this, yeah, just so everybody knows this room is recorded, so anybody that doesn't show up can actually listen to it later on too. So
I know that's a perk of Twitter Spaces. I haven't been in a Twitter Space in a minute, so I'm stoked to be here.
yeah,
But
so
for people who don't know, which shout out Lee and Lisa Schmidt. I see that they're in the Twitter Space. But yeah, so essentially, Truck Parking Club is you can refer to it as like the Airbnb of truck parking. In essence, we help. We work with property owners to help monetize their underutilized assets of land to add more truck parking for like nationwide. So like property owners host their spaces, to which then they'll host it on the Truck Parking Club platform, and at which point drivers, fleets, people who own multiple trailers can then book those properties or locations and pay for them via the app.
So Mike,
right.
yeah, let's. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Mike, yeah, like you guys have been growing over the last year or two, and I think a lot of people have definitely taken notice of what you guys have done. I mean, you guys have sprawled to what, like something like 1,400 locations.
Yeah, currently, actually, let's go on the app right
Yeah,
now and see exactly how many.
let's get the whole let's get the whole
Four,
data report going.
there's 1,480 properties, and 57 were added in the last week.
Wow, that's pretty astounding. So, and how many of those are just like more like bare bones, just places to park a truck? Are you seeing like a good number of places that actually have some like kind of basic amenities for drivers to, of course, relieve themselves properly? Do they have places that, truck drivers can dispose of their trash? How are you guys mitigating some of those issues?
So I know that every property. So when it comes to the property owner, they like everything's kind of up to them. The property owner, they're the ones who are just like Airbnb. They're the ones who are going to set the rate based on whatever it looks like in the market. And then they also have to list everything that they want because not every property's built the same. Some properties don't have enough room for tractor trailers. So we have some locations that are just like bobtail and box truck only. So like every property is kind of built different. It's not like there's
Right.
no essential, like obviously there needs to be a requirement, like they need to be actually be able to fit what they're saying. And we have, and luckily thanks to Google Maps and the road team, we can go out and see if they're saying, oh, you can fit 100 trucks here and really you can only fit 5, then you can't really, you can't really get away with that. But they'll
Right.
list what they have available, and if they're going to play ball, like normally they will add things, and I'll kind of get in that in a minute. But like, so they'll set the tone of what they want. Like maybe they don't want hazmat, so like on the Truck Parking Club app, it'll say, so I'll choose a property that's near me, and it'll give the amenities listed in the app. So the amenities for this one location right by me, off the 45 toll road in Texas, like 24/7, allows oversize. You can double stack your bobtails, so like two bobtails parked. There's cameras on the facility, lights. Uh, it says that landing gear support is required. Repairs are allowed, but they don't want fluids. It's fenced and gated. The lot is gravel and millings. There is a food and restaurant nearby. You can Uber Eats. You can take an Uber. There's a hotel nearby, and you can also bring your POV. So, there's some locations that might not want hazmat because of risk or what have you. Maybe they don't want it. Some places will allow you to do repairs on site. Some won't. So it always varies. But I know that the ones by my house, like there's one by my house that's like kind of a perfect spot. It's the Casa Cafe. And like, so that guy, before he was a Truck Parking Club location, as far as I know, like he didn't have a porta john outside. Now he does
Okay.
because he's a property. Because what, but
Yeah.
and he didn't really have to do that because he has a restaurant, which is a taco place, great breakfast tacos. And then he has a lot that can fit probably 8 trucks. But right across the street, there's a Valero that you can actually get fuel at, but there's no parking spaces. So like there's a diesel pull through, but there's nowhere for trucks to park in there. But you do have access to getting, like, there's still fuel right across the street and that gas station. So he
Right.
didn't even need to add the porta john. He just did
That's cool.
to have it.
Yeah, like I like how I've been noticing
That's
I've
nice.
been noticing like how like you guys are constant, like your platform is getting more and more intuitive. I like the truck parking news part of it. Actually, that's what I use the app more or less for, because it gives me easy access to all things to do with truck parking. And I was going in there and utilizing it to look up different things as far as like how to help some of these property owners, or potential property owners, get the financing they need to either buy a property for, to add, and how to integrate. You guys have a lot of useful information on that I think is foundational. And what I like is just that the fact that I can continually see it developing. And one thing that stands out to me, and especially now that like you like officially like joined forces, that sent a really powerful message to me, because I know you, Mike Lombard, from what we did back with CDLDU, And I know that you have the truck driving industry's best, best intentions in heart. And so for you to be officially launching with them, it tells me that they're interested in having people on that are going to try to keep it, centric around the driver and their needs, and trying to help control some of the cost measures involved, and doing their best to try to make it affordable. Some places are better than others because they can't always have control over what places want to set as their pricing. And depending upon geographical area, we all know that some areas are going to be more expensive just because real estate's more expensive. So, you know, um, what are some of the big things that like big challenges that you guys are trying to overcome in growth? Like what growth pains are you guys currently experiencing and trying to overcome?
I'd say that, I mean, if I would say what's like inhibiting the growth, it's just getting more properties fast enough. We're trying to, I'd say we're trying to get as many properties as we can on board. And so
Right.
I'd say that just like, because the company's new, so it doesn't come with there's
Right.
no it's not like we're an established company that has
Not
millions of dollars of revenue and
not
stuff like
necessarily the
that. So from a
property growth, but the
yeah
growth
from
amongst the use of drivers. Like are you guys still seeing a lot of hesitation from that, a lot of fight from that, retaliation from that? What are you trying to overcome on that level?
Which, so you're talking, so for actual, like, to get bookings,
Yes. Yes.
to actually get bookings on the app. I'd say, if we're looking to get more bookings, that's why we definitely want to add more, because the more properties you get, the more inevitable bookings. But I guess for more people to use it, it really comes down to really just like staff and marketing, which I'm not gonna lie, I think I'm on the marketing team. I think we have one of the best social media guys in the business with what Hunter does, but like it only goes as far as it goes. So really, I think it comes down to not everybody knows about it. What's also interesting, um, I was I was re parking. I was just reading an article in yeah, it was on Truckers Report. It was saying that truck drivers are slow to be adopting parking apps, and that there was a study done by at Texas A&M. Texas A&M Transportation Institute, on behalf of the FMCSA, did a study focused on I-80 and 94 in Iowa and Wisconsin, where there's a shortage of parking that's fairly well documented. And essentially, like the use of these apps
Hmm.
aren't used a lot. So I'd say it's just awareness. I'd say that we're
Okay.
probably not getting as many bookings as we can. I don't know if maybe drivers aren't using the apps because they're like, especially when I was driving, like your goal is to get free spots. Like you obviously don't want to pay for parking. And there's other use cases for Truck Parking Club outside of the
Right.
the regular driver, whether you're using it as a drop yard or if you're trying to add trucks to your fleet or what have you. But
Right.
I'd say it's overall it's awareness and just getting the app as a tool on people's phones. Like I
Right.
would say I would say awareness is probably why
Right. Like opening up
there's not as
people's
many.
minds to the different ways of usability, and how it can be an added tool and an asset. There's always that knee-jerk reaction, and I think drivers have this anxiety that if things get pushed towards like if one day that's all 100% paid parking, I think that's like a huge anxiety that we all have. But I think it's not quite rooted in reality, because I think that there's just that's I don't I don't foresee that being the case almost completely, but I do see it becoming a growing thing. But like what I see it is that, okay, well, let's say truck parking club opens up places that typically drivers were too scared to park at. Maybe they wanted to go in there to get amenities, but they're worried about getting towed. Well, now that truck parking club has opened it up, like let's say it's like in the corner of like a parking lot for a really cool mall that's got a lot of cool stuff. Well, now truck parking club has opened up an area of that, And now truck drivers have that peace of mind saying, okay, well, hey, for $10, I can go in here and, now I can experience this place that I didn't, used to have access to, and had to worry about my truck getting towed or getting in trouble or that kind of thing. So, like, I think there's a lot of value to it and access that, can be in a positive light, you know.
Okay, we do have one question in the book. So role is asking, is there to truck parking
You're
club for
breaking up
New
really
Jersey?
bad.
What?
You are rubber banding really bad.
Why?
Try again. Try again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So Gordon Mutual is asking that there's a truck parking club for New Jersey, or is it just? It should all just be one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just an overall app for everywhere, right, Mike?
Yeah, I'm not sure of the question. What you were asking something about New Jersey?
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, if there was a link for the truck parking club in New Jersey.
Oh yeah, if you go to truckparkingclub.com or if you download the app, you can search a zip code in New Jersey and it'll show you it'll show you any properties like near where you're looking for, which I do. If I go back, I'll look at New Jersey right now.
You want to share the links in the bubble and people can copy it and.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, the product. I do have a question. You're saying a zip code. Is there also a way they can put like a city in? Because everybody knows what city they're in, but they don't always know what zip code they're in. So is there a way to put a state and city in instead of a zip code?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can search. Yeah, you can search city and state in the search bar as well. And what's great is if you go to whether you're on the website or the mobile app, when you search in the city, on the actual map, you'll see it's a Google image that shows the map data. And you can look at just like how you'd look at Google Maps. It's integrated onto the system, so you can search via the city. What's also great is you can check off a box in. You can see where there's also free parking near you on it, but you can search city and state just to answer that question. Yeah.
So I've got a question. So anyone that's calling you guys or you guys go to get this parking, are you guys giving like any advice on like what they should offer or anything like that? Like what they should charge? Like, because I've looked on there and like out in the Northeast, I've even seen parking for $75 for a night. And to me, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. So
there better be a steak dinner with that.
Yeah. So I know that the Northeast, I mean, that's indicative of the market because of how it's limited. They charge that because they're the ones who set that price. I mean, there are people on the property team who kind of they'll offer and they'll have those conversations with them, but it is for the most part the property owner who's setting that price. And they essentially do it based off of what the market looks like in that area. So like if you're near the port of Newark, they're going to charge because they know they can, the same way a lot of travel centers already do this.
Well, yeah, and that's so. One thing I'm going to suggest to you. Now you can use this or not, but at the same time, you guys are trying to fight for the trucking industry, right?
Absolutely.
Trying to help the trucking industry. So why would you guys promote someone that's trying to be predatory towards the drivers?
Well,
I mean, to me, that seems like predatory.
Hold on a second, Justice.
Taking advantage.
I get where you're going, but do they have a filter that you can say, I only want to pay $20 and it won't bring those people up? Do you have something like that so that, you know, those people that want to be outrageously ridiculous don't even have a chance of, like, because to me, I'm going to promote more somebody that's actually trying to help the drivers rather than somebody that's just trying to make a buck. And I'll tell you that all day long. So if do you guys have a filter that says, you know, I only want to spend, you know, $20 to $40, or I only want to spend, and they can put whatever they want, and it doesn't bring the other ones up so that they can, like, be eliminated, and they don't even have to, like, look at that idea unless they're willing to spend that kind of money. Do you have something like that?
Yeah, there's no filter by pricing on the app yet. That I know. I mean, this is why I like having these conversations, because I think that that's great feedback. What I'll definitely say is that we're not necessarily like promoting anybody who's like being predatory. Like, we're not out there featuring their price, saying like you should park at this place. They're simply, I mean, they're the property owner who's using because that property has the freedom, and they may have already been doing it in the past, because some of the properties we worked with are properties that have all, like, they've charged truckers to park there in the past, but they ran it in-house, and this is their way of not having to take responsibility of it anymore, because now they don't have to worry about either payment, or they don't have to worry about people leaving equipment. And so that might have even been what they charged previously, and now that that's what they're charging on the platform. Those are scenarios that I know have happened. But the property owner sets the price. I mean, people with our team will tell them if it's overpriced, but when it comes to that parking in the Northeast, the best way for them to lower their prices is if we're able to get more properties in the Northeast. And I'm from Connecticut originally, and I've had to gone up there. And the reason why I would always despise going up there because of parking. I always got lucky because of an area where my dad owns his shop, his manufacturing shop. I was able to park near it. And that's kind of how you have to make it happen. But the real estate itself is limited. So, I mean, they're going to charge for that because of it. There's kind of no way around it. I mean, for us to tell them, hey, you shouldn't charge this month, they could listen to that, but they're going to make the decision at the end of the day.
So yeah, to increase the capacity on there would drive the competitive pricing that drivers are looking for in that geographical area.
Yeah, the more properties we can tack in,
right? And I get that.
They won't be able to charge that much. I mean, they do it now. I don't think they're necessarily being predatory. I think they're just parking so like in general, when it comes to parking, whether it's free or paid, it does cost, it costs money to maintain. Like, so the price of that land and whatever they do to maintain that lot or to keep it, like, they're paying steep property tax. They're paying steep leases on that land, like whether if they own it or they lease it. And so it comes with a hefty price, especially if you have a property that's, like, say, close to the Port of Newark. Like, that's high dollar real estate. So the cost of, I mean, you could be looking at property taxes upwards and into the however many thousands per year. I don't know exactly.
Okay. With that being said, have you made sure that these leasing companies are okay with it before these people that say they own the land, which they don't? Okay, if they're leasing the property, they technically don't have the ability to do whatever they want with it. Like in my area, you can't hang a sign for a business unless you ask the city. You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, are you guys checking on that to make sure that the city isn't going to come tow you because you're not supposed to be there?
Well, you know what I'm saying? So truck parking has a strict, like, no towing and no booting policy. But any property owner who's hosting themselves on our platform, I mean, they're able to do it via their lease agreement. So, I mean, they're like, that's between them and their lease agreement. And if they're able to legally do it, that's definitely not something that,
the responsibility.
It's never been an issue.
Well, and the
Like it's a,
responsibility
But
also falls on them
you're
for
not
zoning
actually
laws.
but you're not actually looking at that and making sure that that is something that they can do. You're just assuming that they have the ability to lease that property out.
No, our property team works with the property owner to make sure that that can all be taken care of because
Right, that it falls within zoning laws, basically.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Are you guys just saying, okay, yeah, we got a piece of property over here that somebody's gonna, help us to put on our platform, and then just going with it, or are you doing your due diligence and making sure that you actually can park a truck in that area without getting towed by the city? Because I'll tell you, there's Walmarts out there that you can park at, and then there's Walmarts out there that they would love you to be able to park at, but the city will tow you the minute you park there. Right. So that's what I'm asking, because there's city ordinances on top of, other things. And, I can tell you that you can park in my driveway, but that doesn't mean that you can, because I can tell you right now, it's a $1,500 fine if you park a bobtail in my driveway. So you see what I'm saying?
yeah. So if you weren't able to do this, so you wouldn't be able to host your property on Truck Parking Club, basically because of that. And the property team works that out with the property owners.
That was my question. Do you make sure that it is a legitimate place? Because again, like I said, I can tell you whatever I want to. And if you don't know the actual lease agreement, and like, I'll give you an example. Okay.
Or even the zoning law.
Yeah. And down where I park my truck and trailer. Okay. Right next to it is owned by, the, district, school district. And if you park on their property, you will get towed, right? So if you don't technically know where that zone is at and where that lease changes, it's like one rock to another. You see what I'm saying? Are they making sure that you're not parking on somebody else's property? Are they going through all that? Because that gets real sticky when you're talking about your neighbor that might not want trucks even on your property, and you accidentally drive on their property. You know what I'm saying? So are we making sure that, we're not going to get the truck drivers in trouble because they accidentally drove in the wrong area?
Absolutely. And the property team deals with that. And this is from what I've gotten from the last meeting. And from everything we have since Truck Parking Club started, nobody's been towed, ticketed, or booted.
Yeah, but it's always the first one that ends your whole business. Just saying.
But as far as I know, that's the whole job of the property team, is to make sure that doesn't happen between the property owner and us. And they have those conversations, and like where they're able to park is where the trucks are supposed to be parked is all like in green on a map. And that negotiation happens between the property owner and the property team. The property team is the one who does the due diligence on it. And for that is why nobody's been ticketed or towed.
Okay, so I also have another question.
Clear, hold on. And just to be clear, when you're talking about the property team, they are part of Truck Parking Club, right?
Yes. Our property team, they do that due diligence with the properties.
I just want to make that clear, so everybody's clear on that.
Okay, so earlier you said something about hazmat. Now I'm hazmat certified, and my question is this: for hazmat, do you guys know the laws for hazmat? Because you said it might not be able to park hazmat there. Did you know you can't park hazmat? Like, hazmat has to be in attendance at all times, or somebody that knows what hazmat is has to be in attendance to babysit that truck. Did you know that DOT cannot shut you down on a hazmat load unless they're actually going to watch the truck? Because you can go to a hotel and they're actually in charge of that truck at that point, because they have actually taken you out of service. So, I mean, there's things that I want to know if people actually understand when they're doing these things, when they say, oh, well, hazmat can't park here. Hazmat can't park within 100 feet of a roadway. Hazmat can't park on certain districts next to schools. Hazmat can't park next to tunnels or thereof other things. So do the people that are setting these things up actually know what they're doing with hazmat? because when you bring in hazmat, that's a whole different ballgame entirely. So if they don't know that, then they probably shouldn't be offering that at all if they're not willing to babysit a trailer, because you can't just park hazmat.
I mean, I'm not sure how many of our customers are parking hazmat via truck parking club. So I mean, if a hazmat driver is using a truck parking club location, I mean, I'd say when it comes to a hazmat driver, it's sort of on them where they're going to park at that point. And so if there's a truck parking club location that they know that they wouldn't be able to park at with whatever they're hauling, I mean, that's kind of feedback that needs to just be given to the truck parking club team, so to speak. But the property itself, whether they know the hazmat rules and regulations, probably not. I'm sure the ones who are trucking companies know that, because we have properties that are trucking companies, and that's why they do it. But I'm not really sure what the question is.
So I think what they were, from me listening, I think what they're getting at is just that, there's that responsibility, the driver on that part, to make sure they're parking legally within their certification of hazmat, but also that truck parking club and the parking team is aware of the laws around that and how they're setting what places are hazmat friendly or not. But like you just said, and this is one of the things that I think is really cool about the properties that are opening up with truck parking club, is a lot of them are other carriers' lots opening up their vacant spaces for other carriers to come in and use. So those would probably be places that are hazmat certified. If they're, they would understand that as a motor carrier, whether they are in a location that is viable for hazmat parking.
Well, no, what I'm actually saying is that if there's not somebody on that property that's there to watch that 24/7 and going to take responsibility for that load, whether or not they say they can park hazmat there or not, doesn't matter. If they don't know their laws, then they can't just park hazmat there. Like, for instance, where I work at, okay, there is somebody there on the lot that understands hazmat and who to call and what to do at all times. 24 hours a day, there's somebody on that lot. Otherwise, we could not park empty tankers there because they are hazmat placard and they still have gases in them. So what I'm saying is if you're saying that you can park hazmat there, right, is there somebody that's actually certified for hazmat? Because otherwise, we'll just say, okay, a Warner driver has a placard on the side of their trailer. They don't know any better because, let's face it, Warner drivers are, a dime a dozen, and they hire them all day long, and they just put a dude behind the steering wheel, and away you go, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that they know their laws for hazmat. And the property owner can actually get in trouble as well if they've got hazmat on their property because of the placards and because of the risk and so on and so forth. And there's certain stuff out there that, chlorine, for example, okay? Any amount of chlorine has to be placarded. It is dangerous for the environment, so on and so forth. And do these property owners understand that? Or are they just like, oh yeah, they can park hazmat here. We don't have a problem with that. There's no problem, right? Because if they're doing that, then you could run into a lawsuit pretty quick.
As far as I know, when it comes to, like, this is definitely all stuff that the property team works with. Like that's their niche with working with the property owners. But what I do know is that we have 24/7 customer service that is available to take care of any issues. But again, if the truck is parking, so you're kind of asking if the truck is parked on the lot and the driver leaves?
Yeah, because you have Warner drivers that, okay, they've got hazmat on their CDL, right? And they know that they're supposed to, check their tires and blah, blah, blah. But they don't know, and it's not actually stated unless you start getting deep into stuff, that you have to be within line of sight of that hazmat load, or you actually have to have somebody else that is in line of sight that is taking over that hazmat load that understands all the paperwork. You can't put your paperwork on the dashboard. You can't put it in the door. You can't put it anywhere that it is covered in any way, shape, or form. It has to be open so that if any incident happens, they can actually just reach in, grab your paperwork, and they know exactly where it's at. Like, you put your paperwork on the seat, okay, and you cover it with a book, you are now in violation. So there's certain things that people need to understand if they're going to allow hazmat and put it on your app and say, oh, yeah, you can park hazmat here. Well, that's telling the driver that it's okay for you to park hazmat there, and that's a safe haven for hazmat. Now, has your team actually looked into that and made sure that there is actually somebody there 24 hours a day that can validate, and knows what hazmat is and is certified and knows who to call and, knows all the laws for hazmat? Or is it just somebody with a piece of property that goes, yeah, no problem, you can park hazmat here? You see what I'm saying? Because that could end you up in a lot of trouble real fast.
Well, I mean, we do have our entire customer service team that's available.
And even for
that.
your guys' customer, yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Someone on site actually has to be liable for that, right? That could put that person that owns that property in liability. Why do I keep rubber banding? I'm in.
Because you got crappy service. You should have checked that before you started the space. But anyway,
I'm in Reno.
No, then get away from power lines. Anyway, so, and again, you said customer service, right? Is customer service trained and certified in hazmat? Because if not, they're still not going to be of any use to you in a hazmat situation.
So our customer service team is staffed by former drivers who are schooled up on those things, and our customer service team does go through training on all of those issues.
Okay, so are those people actually on site as well, in case if the driver does leave?
No, the customer service team is.
I could be on. I'll be totally.
But if the driver of a vehicle,
I'll be totally honest.
If the driver of the vehicle, if somebody's driving hazmat and they're using a truck parking club location, why would the driver it doesn't make it a safe haven for hazmat if the driver himself can't be without line of sight?
Right.
Well, because you've said that it's hazmat parking. Okay.
So if hazmat's able to,
when you're saying that, that's essentially saying that you're saying that that's a safe haven for hazmat.
Somebody can
see. You got to kind of understand that the lingo changes when you get into hazmat. You don't just, oh, this is good parking for hazmat. That's not going to work.
So then why would the driver abandon the vehicle if he's under a load, if he knows he has a hazmat load?
Because you've said it's good for hazmat. You said that it's okay to park hazmat there on your app.
Yeah.
So is a Love's truck stop okay for hazmat parking if the driver leaves?
No, it's not.
Then how come this question isn't being asked to Love's or TA or anybody like that?
No, I'm asking you because you're the one that's providing the parking. You're the one that's providing an app saying that hazmat is okay to park here.
Yeah, on your app it says hazmat okay to park, right?
Correct. So if
the driver's thinking that someone's going to be on site, so they could actually park there and go home if it's in their hometown, or if they got a friend there or whatever, they're thinking that they can actually leave because your app is saying that it is safe to park hazmat.
You want my advice?
Meaning,
take it out.
There is someone on site to actually watch.
But
So sometimes for their 10, like if it's en route, yes.
But you're telling me, are you telling me that hazmat drivers go home under a load and leave their loaded truck? Oh,
Yeah, if they can park it in their yard, they sure do.
no, but not there.
I park my
Yes.
truck every single day. I park my truck and go home. You're damn right I do.
With hazmat loaded onto it.
It's always hazmat. I carry crude oil, so it's highly
It doesn't
flammable.
matter if it's,
But it is parked
doesn't
on
matter
our
if it's
yard.
empty or not.
So, and where
It is parked on our yard with a certified hazmat crew that knows what to do if something happened, if it lit on fire or, whatever, something happened in the yard. There's 100 trucks out there that are all hazmat. But when you say that you can park a truck that is hazmat, okay, you're in a different ballgame. And like I said, my advice to you is take that out. Okay. If they then park it there because, they just want to park, then you're not liable. But you are physically taking the responsibility by saying that it is hazmat okay to park there.
hazmat is okay to park there overnight if the driver's there, which the driver, the operator, should know that if they're parked in that specific location. So if you're a driver of a hazmat vehicle and you park at a truck parking club location and you're parked there under a load, and then you just leave the load in the truck, that driver wouldn't make that decision because he knows full well he's at a location where he's not able to do that because there isn't somebody on site.
No, hold on. Mitchell said earlier that you guys are getting places so that people can go into these malls and go do things and what have you. And if you say that that's hazmat, parking, okay, right? You say that that's okay to park there because the property owner says that we don't mind having hazmat. What I'm asking you is, have you done your due diligence? And it doesn't sound like you have. And I've given you my suggestion, okay, which is take the hazmat out of it, leave it to just drivers and their discretion. But you're saying that it's hazmat okay to park there. That is not okay unless you have the proper people in place to actually park at those places.
So I understand what you're saying, and it's very by the book, but then why hasn't anybody gone full court press on TA or Loves or anybody else for allowing hazmat to park on their property overnight?
Well, they can park on their property overnight.
They don't advertise that specifically that it's hazmat okay. And what I was talking about earlier, hold on. What I was talking about earlier was the potentiality of drivers being able to park in places like shopping malls. I didn't say that was actually occurring.
If it says that it's hazmat certified, then, again, like I said, I would take the hazmat out of it. That's just a suggestion. You can do what you want, but you're looking at a lawsuit. You're also looking at FMCSA breathing down your neck pretty quick when they figure it out. I see.
Who's they?
I foresee things down the road. I'm giving you a suggestion. Do with it what you want. But bringing hazmat into it, you're putting yourself in a whole different world.
The only thing, the reason why I know that the property team does do due diligence on this is because that you can filter out hazmat or not on our platform. So I know that the property team definitely does due diligence on whether or not hazmat's allowed to park places.
Hello, guys. Can I say something? Hello, guys.
Go ahead.
Okay. Maybe I can kind of explain this situation because the question is valid. But let me go back into what Lombard was saying about this parking lots not allowing mechanical work. Let's go back to the basic idea and why it is there. The reason why some yards would not allow you to do mechanical work, it is because of the oil and the diesel going into the ground. So as far as even you knowing that some of these properties are not allowing any hazardous on the ground, it is because they're contaminating the dirt. Now, the whole point is, if some of these property owners are aware of this law, imagine a hazardous load ending up on the dirt. Who's going to end up paying for this hazardous waste removal? Who's going to get sued at the end of the day? So go back to the original questions. Why these lot owners are not allowing even mechanical work on the property? It goes that deep. This is why I don't know who it is. Maybe Michael is saying, look into it, not because it's a bad thing that you're doing. Actually, I congratulate you for giving us another outlet to park safely. Uh, One of the other things too that I'm grateful that you're doing this is because here in California we have a mass movement of the state, county, cities removing truck parking from the areas, because to them we are in a tighter situation, because to them truck parkings are not paying taxes, so they're removing truck parking lots to invite new construction for homes. The idea from the government is to get income at the end of the year, because properties pay taxes. Truck lots don't. The same issue we have with farmers. Farmers, they're exempt from taxes. Farmers are getting pressured out of their farms to introduce new constructions with community houses, because the government wants taxes. So we're facing these issues here in California. But the question is valid, and think about your own answer as far as these owners, why they don't accept contamination in their properties. Can you imagine if they're aware of the oil leaks and diesel leaks, and why they're not allowing this parking mechanical works there? Can you imagine in a hazardous waste issue? And just like I believe it's Michael that's saying this, when we haul hazardous material, in case of a fire, we need to tell the fire department what we have, and we need to know what the plates on the trailers mean, and therefore we need to pass this information to the first responders so they can know how they handle these fires. So it is very sensitive, very delicate in a serious situation. So before we get into this situations, it's better to investigate the worst scenarios. So I'm thinking that we go back to the same question, original questions. If this owner, property owners are worried about contamination on the ground, because it makes even a lot of difference if you have dirt lot versus concrete lot. Because when you have a dirt lot, you're going to contaminate the ground immediately versus a concrete lot. So there is a lot of details. So again, we congratulate you. I think it's a great outlet for us that struggle with parking. I don't know if you also are helping us out with weekly parking, monthly parking. There's a great demand in that. We struggle in California with this, and the prices have gone up tremendously due to the push from the government trying to get rid of the trucking parking lots. So that's the only thing I just wanted to throw there. Maybe it makes more sense this way. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you're saying if people don't allow repairs, that they should also not allow hazmat. That does make sense. Except I know that would be, yeah, I mean that's definitely something that the property owner would have to decide between. But I am on the FMCSA website, which does say, for transportation by highway, if a transport vehicle contains hazmat for which a shipping paper is required, and the transport vehicle is separated from its mode of power and parked at a location other than a facility operated by the consignee or carrier, you mark the transport vehicle with the telephone number of the carrier on the front exterior of the brake hose, have the shipping paper emergency response information readily available. This client does not reply. As far as I know, is that the consent of the property owner is really all that's truly needed for the parking for hazmat to be there. So it's the property owners who definitely consent to hazmat being able to be parked there.
Yeah, maybe
Well,
what the idea
here's
was.
what I can tell you. A small diesel leak is considered hazmat, and getting on the ground is considered hazmat. 1 barrel of crude oil is $10,000 to clean up, and thereof every after that you have to dig out 3 feet of dirt anytime dirt is contaminated. So I mean, I'm just telling you, for your own good, I would probably take that out and just have it truck parking. And hazmat knows where they're supposed to be parking. I wouldn't be putting my neck out that far, like getting into the hazmat world, because it is more than obvious that you guys don't know the hazmat world. You just looked up an FMCSA regulation that is basically for somebody that is going into a shop
Our property team
or
knows
something
the
else like
hazmat
that.
regulations. So like,
Huh?
like our property team knows the hazmat regulations.
Maybe they should answer my questions then.
And but I'm wanting to know who,
and that
who
can
the,
be another
who the
conversation.
lawsuit's
Yeah.
coming from.
So
Like
Do what?
Who's suing who over the hazmat?
The BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, will sue the hell out of you.
So the Bureau of Land Management is going
Yes.
to, are they going to
Yes.
send out squads of people to truck parking club locations and make sure?
If they see oil on the ground, you're damn right they will. You're damn right they will. They're watching us in the oil field
If
with
it's been
drones.
reported, yes.
They're watching us in the oil field with drones. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's not a joke.
This is why
I'm going to take
this
these
is why I
questions to the
mentioned
property
that.
team, and I definitely want, because I mean, I would love the answer on it, because as far as I know, when it comes to a property coming online, that there's a lot of work that goes into a property before they can even fully come online. So whenever they're offering something, I do know that they're going through those right channels to make sure that they're able to do that to avoid any sort of issue. But
there's a whole vetting process.
yeah, there is a vetting process to a property coming online if it's going to involve hazmat, because that's why we have the filter in place to filter out whether they allow hazmat or not parking on onto the platform. And so in that world, I definitely know that due diligence is being done, that it's definitely not within X feet of a road, not near a bridge, not near a tunnel, not near a school. I do know that due diligence is being done. From a liability standpoint, I do know that Truck Parking Club covers $25,000 worth of liability for properties. So I mean that's also in place. That I do know.
So the way I've seen it happen here, many property owners have experienced this. The way it works, as traffic, commercial traffic, it starts moving towards this new property, more likely the neighbors are going to start complaining because there's a lot of noise that they're not used to, because this empty lot has not had any commercial equipment around. So eventually, let's say it's a 20 truck property. Eventually, you're going to have heavy traffic from commercial equipment around. So the neighbors, let's say the four-wheelers, are complaining because now they're saying it's too loud. Now they see a lot of trucks. Now they're complaining because the trucks are ruining the roads. And then they start making some phone calls to the police department. Now, the police department is going to send, of course, investigators what's going on with these trucks around here in this area where they were not around before. So they're going to investigate. Once they investigate, they're going to go into the property owner, and they're going to see if they have the proper permits, if they have the proper knowledge on how to manage the commercial equipment. And then if they find out that they're compromising the land with hazardous waste, they're going to send surveyors to determine whether they are contaminating the land. Because remember, once the land is contaminated, it goes into the water, and the water moves around. So this is how they've been able to shut down this property owner yards. I've experienced this for the past 10 years. Even, I don't know if you guys know, Fontana, California has been the heart of the trucking industry. That's why I moved around here. So believe it or not, Fontana is going through a major change here because they're kicking truck drivers out of the industry, an industry that's been alive for in the trucking industry maybe for the past 70, 80 years. So I've experienced this in my 30 years driving around this area. So this is how it happened. So the best way I can say it is take it maybe as a precaution and go into a deeper investigation because it hasn't affect you yet, but eventually it will. So before it will affect you, it's better to do your research. The best maybe idea that I can give you is go through a lawyer that deals with commercial land or something like that, and have them explain to you. Maybe give them $300-500 to just tell you what is the worst scenario for you guys engaging with these property owners. Because at the end of the day, when a major fine comes or a major tragic event comes, nobody wants to be left with the bag. So this is actually an education conversation. All I'm saying, with me living through it for the past 10 years, it does get nasty at the end of the day. Since you have a clean record, you have a good intention, and you're actually doing a good job with it, it's better to just protect yourself. Maybe this is why I believe it's probably Michael and Chris are just giving you just the negative side or the dark side of the trucking industry dealing with parking.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, kind of what you're describing is the similar kind of story that like Uber went through. Like they had to take on those people head on too, like with that from the legal side of thing. And I mean, Uber, Lyft, I mean, if you look at them now, I mean, they've become wildly successful on it, and they've fought through all of that stuff that you were talking about. And I definitely know that. I mean, when it comes to lawyers, there's no like I know our CEO isn't he's not unwise to not be already having those conversations, having lawyers that he's talking to with that. Like I know he's definitely not trying to get blindsided on anything you know, on the legal side of things. But I do know that we're equipped to kind of take it on the same way Uber was able to take that on. I'm looking at there. We actually have a location in Fontana, California, by the way.
Okay, that's good. That's exactly what me and Michael are trying to do. Pastime for a change. Is trying to educate the drivers, educate everybody. We're trying to build a network to work with to help one another. Anybody that's trying to help the industry, we want to work with, right? Throw ideas back and forth and even give our input. That way it may make, you know, that certain company that's trying to help the industry, like with you guys with the parking issue, right? You know, give you guys ideas to, you know, go back to the table and maybe we need to look at this a different way or something, or look into, you know, the zoning a little bit more, or, you know, stuff like that. That's what we're trying to put out there.
Yeah, I mean, that's stuff that I'm big on in my own personal life at the same time. I mean, I was just at a town hall tonight talking to my congressman about truck parking, which I'm going to be, you know, trying to set up a meeting about. And I mean, like when it comes to local municipalities and kind of how they deal with things. What I do know is when a property does come online, they are verified by our property team, who does make sure that the like if you're on a road, if your property's on a road, for example, that has like a low overpass, or if it's down a road that cannot like take like say you do own a bunch of property, but it's down an undeveloped road, or it's down a street that is not available to trucks, that property can't come online. And like so when it comes to a lot of these places and the properties that are coming online, they're definitely not coming online without having gone through a vetting process where the zoning laws are going to start getting into place, or that you're going to get a ticket for going down the wrong street.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
Now, guys,
let me.
I got one
I don't
other.
want you to feel attacked. Let me explain kind of what I'm doing. Okay. I'm trying to build the meeting place. All right. In that meeting place will be all the tools that people need. Some will be built by me, some will be built by others. There's no charge to come in and use it. If they're using your service, great, that's your deal. I'm just building a meeting place where everybody can come to one, go close that door, can come to, one place to find whatever they need. Now you are truck parking, right? I want to see you guys succeed. So I'm giving you things that I see. I see things before people actually see them and actually realize that, oh shit, we messed up. So basically, I look at the worst case scenario. You brought up hazmat. I'm telling you, I probably, if I were you, would not venture down that road unless these are certified hazmat carriers that had gone through the certification for hazmat training. Okay. And that's a whole different ballgame other than hazmat on your license. Like, you have to be certified and know what the hell you're doing, who you need to call, what you need to do, what area you need to shut down, what you're dealing with, what the MSDS means, all these things, right? And most people don't even know what a damn MSDS is, okay? So that's the problem that I'm saying that you're dealing with when you get into hazmat. Don't take it as I'm trying to attack you, because I'd like to see you succeed as long as you're doing it for the right reasons and you're not like in it to just get property that we're already parking at, because we don't need somebody to make it so that we have to pay for property to park, right? And that brings us to other questions later. But I think that we need to, because we're ending this in 23 minutes. People are asking to come up. We need to start asking the guests that are in the room if they want to come up and ask any questions or whatever.
No, dude, this is good feedback. No, I definitely don't take it as an attack. Don't worry. I love your passion, and I love your knowledge of the industry. I think that once again, I think that so many other parts of the industry sleep on how much drivers actually know. And yeah, because I would love to get into the nuts and bolts. Like I said, I'm kind of newish to the team, and I know that Reed is up in Utah. He doesn't really have service, but like, yeah, I'll start asking those questions and make sure, like, hey, can we run back this? Because I was talking to a hazmat driver, and he was kind of curious. From a market, like, you're curious because maybe you might need a location one day, and so you want to know how it's properly vetted. I want to get that exact detail. So I love. Yeah, I don't take it as an attack, but yeah, if there's some more questions out there, let's definitely rip them up. I'm going to eat in a little bit myself.
More than likely, unless you're parking at a hazmat facility, right? You're probably not going to be getting the right certs for what's going on, because that is not like you got mountains of paperwork to go through to get your hazmat certifications for your business. So more than likely, there's no property owner out there that's like, oh yeah, no problem. Because even like Loves and TA and Flying J, they are not hazmat certified. That driver cannot leave that truck and go. And we know as hazmat certified drivers that, even though we are not always in line of sight, we're real close. Like, we run into a store, we grab a drink, whatever, we come back out, but we're always in the vicinity of, like 30 seconds. And if we're taking any longer than that, then we're, constantly looking back out the door or the window or whatever. But like, to be released of duty to go home or whatever, somebody, if there is hazmat on that truck, somebody has to be attentive to that truck. So, like I said, that might not be something you guys want to
certified too.
Yeah, I mean, you might want to just stick to the basic industry, reefers, flatbeds, dry vans, so on and so forth. You can't run your truck here. You must talk to management to make sure that you're parked in the right spot. Those kind of things is great, but when you get into hazmat, man, that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, I think Mike gets the point, and we're kind of starting to kind of like go in a circle here with this part. And like you had said, let's try to see if other people have some other questions or concerns for
Yeah.
Mike. You know,
Yeah,
like
if anyone has any
I do
questions,
see one of
request a mic.
I do see one of my guests. I know Kathy's in here, and I know we had some other like truck parking stuff that we could have went over to that Kathy had provided. And we can obviously get another episode because this kind of went on and got really involved with this topic, and it's definitely an important topic because we're just, you know, it's like they said, trying to protect on that hazmat side. So you know, anybody that's in here listening, you know, raise a hand if you have some questions on things, or for Mike Lombard. Um, or if not, you know, Lombard, if we don't have any further questions from other people, you know, you're pretty much free to go. But we want to make sure that the listeners are getting their
Well, there was somebody
concerns
earlier
met.
that had their hand up, but we weren't taking questions, and I guess people didn't understand, and we need to kind of put that at the top of the room, not just Mike Lombard, truck parking, helping fix trucking issues. Like, we need to have it where, you know, first hour is...
Yeah, I guess I could have typed
Yeah.
it in the bubble and then put it up there, huh?
Hey,
Yeah,
we
so-
can
I
run this
didn't even
back.
think about it.
And like I said,
until
we
you
We
brought
do
it
have
up.
a request. Hold on, let's see who's requesting here.
Yeah, we could run this back anytime too. I'm always down
Spanish
to hop on a space.
Dominican King. We're
Richie.
bringing Richie up.
Dude, my man Richie. Dude.
Hey,
what's up?
Lombard, how you doing?
Good, man. I miss you. I need to jump into some of your spaces.
First time listener.
No, you're not.
Listen, Lombard, things a genius plan. You know, you commodified. There was a problem in the industry, a lack of truck parking, and a lot of empty spaces, a lot of empty land around the U.S. And you found a way to commodify truck parking with an app. um, is this any way? Do you have the app in only in English? Can Hispanics use it?
Let me see if there's an en Espanol feature.
Because we're the industry that I belong in, you know, there's a lot of Hispanics, a lot of immigrants. A lot of them may not be able to understand English very well. So, if you could tell the higher ups or the
That's a
executives,
good
at some
question.
point-
Just any language,
Dude,
because there's multiple languages in this industry.
I'm glad that you brought up that idea, because I think that is one great list of feedback, is putting it in Espanol. As far as I know, I don't believe that it translates.
it'll
However,
Well, you
definitely,
better put it in Turkish,
it'll definitely
Russian, Japanese,
So
Chinese, and yeah, they're.
I'm going to play the devil's advocate on this question.
and I know what you're going to say.
Being that this is primarily in the United States, if they're operating within the United States and cannot, you know, I mean, there's a whole federal regulation around that's supposed to be there. So
Actually, there's not. That was written out. You need to go check that out. That
Yeah,
is no longer
they
there
signed a
because of the
waiver.
shortage of drivers. So no, that's it. That's irrelevant
they've
at this
completely
point.
thrown that out. They've completely thrown that out now.
Yep.
What I do know is
Yep.
I've called some drivers who've used certain promo codes, and I tried to, you know, and I wanted feedback from one guy whose name was Russian, and I was texting him, and I had asked him about how his recent booking was, and he said it was great, and you know, I was asking him for some marketing material. I was like, hey, do you want to, you know, do a little 30-60 second testimony? I can get you another promo code. And he was like, I wish I could. I don't speak English well. He was probably using Google Translate. So I mean, a Russian guy was able to navigate the app. So I'd say its usability is pretty good, but I don't see a reason why the team, or at least the tech team, shouldn't get that feedback on.
There's a certain way with browsers on your mobile devices that you can get it to translate things for you too. Translate a website. I know some websites are more privy to it than others that actually have a language setting.
Websites, not applications. You can do it with websites.
Yeah,
you
not
cannot
apps.
do it with
Right.
apps. That's what I was.
So they might be able to do it on Truck Parking Club's website, but not on the app.
The browser might work, but not the app. But I'm gonna bring that up. this week. I mean, that's good. There's no reason why it couldn't be en Espanol. Like I said, I don't know the tech behind that. That's a tech thing. But Richie, I'm with you, dude.
Well, the
And
tech
also,
behind it would be you just get a link to Google with a key and it will actually translate it. It's about half-assed, but that's the same thing that the browser is doing. So you can actually get your app hooked up that way. But we're not going to get into the technicalities of it. Just get back with your team and tell them to get her done.
Yeah, hell yeah.
and also too, I talked to the Port Authority about the lack of truck parking around the New Jersey, New York area, and they've mentioned your guys. They mentioned the truck parking club as a solution to their problem. So you're getting out there. Your word is getting out there, and you're a known brand now.
Yeah, that's good. That's good feedback to know that Port Authority knows that. That's I mean, I mean, really, what they need to be saying is, I mean, they should want to compete with it. I mean, they should know that full well that they also probably should be advocating for more real estates being used for parking as well. But that's it's pretty dope that they know about the brand. That's pretty tight.
Oh no, dude! The Port Authority they have the they give zero attention to the truckers. You know, they try to help out, but if helping us out would affect their bottom line, everybody's is gonna say no to it because that's how the game is played over here in drayage. Um, all the other port stakeholders they turn a blind eye when it comes to the drayage issue, when it comes to parking, labor rights, all that type of stuff. Yeah, but thank you very much though for taking my question. I appreciate it.
Love you, brother.
Yeah, so I have heard from a few drivers on complaints about, uh, I'm just going to get this out there that way. This is recorded, everybody can hear it, right? So I have gotten complaints from other drivers about Truck Parking Club actually bringing on parking that was free and then started charging.
Yeah, I'd say that that's the biggest thing that I've heard. That's what I've seen on TikTok, especially. And when it comes to navigating that, because I know exactly the places that they're talking about, especially with certain travel centers. And I mean, the truth of the matter is, Truck Parking Club isn't really going out and banging on these people's doors or dumping of them a bunch of money to do this. These formerly free places or the travel centers around there. So in total, we have 1480 locations. About 40ish are like travel centers or were formerly like free parking areas. And what I do know is that those formerly free parking areas wanted paid parking on their lots because, kind of like I said earlier, like whether parking is free or paid, it does cost money to maintain that lot, and the property itself comes with a cost to do. And I know that for some formerly free places, especially like smaller mom and pop travel centers, they've struggled probably the past 10 years or so, with especially with fuel cards and with where people get their fuel. And so like smaller places have begun to charge for parking because a lot of people aren't, they're not getting fuel at that location. But what I do, so it's not like we're going out and banging down these doors and telling them, hey, you should take away your free parking. The property owners very much voluntarily choose it for their business model. It's not, there is no like lobbying effort or any coercion in any sort of way. And it's less than 1% of truck parking club's actual properties. What I will say on that is, and this is what I was talking to Evan, the CEO, about at the Manifest conference, is eventually this truck parking conversation is going to get louder and it's going to catch on. And there's competitors out there, and we see this in the car parking market, and you see it in when it comes to where cars park. So in like the south side of Chicago, all those parking meters are owned by a shell company in Canada that's really based in Saudi Arabia, and you have companies like Park Mobile, and when they catch wind of Truck Parking Club or what's going on with truck parking in the country, they will come in carte blanche with tens of millions of dollars, and they will go across the country and they will hit hard as they possibly can to make to lobby, because they have the dollars to talk to Loves and TA and to so many other people on getting them to, let them charge for parking, and then they'll take it over. The difference is those places are going to go in, and then what you have is a company like Park Mobile that's just going to be a QR code. That's it. They will boot and ticket if you don't pay, and they have there's no customer support set. You wouldn't be able to get a hold of customer support. None of those companies come from the trucking industry. They don't care about the industry. Whereas Truck Parking Club is a driver focused company that is good. Like Park Mobile isn't going to come on this Twitter space, for example. Park Mobile or the competition, or these Saudi shell companies, or these Spanish companies, people in Spain, they're not going to come on these shows and engage with this feedback and talk to you guys. They're just going to do it, and then that's going to be the end of the conversation. And then kind of everybody's up, up in arms. So I understand. I've backed into spaces where I'm like, it's freaking paid. It's annoying. But when we kind of look at when you kind of zoom out at 30,000 feet and you look at the situation for what it is, you have to play the ball where it lies. And in this circumstance where people, the economy hasn't been good, with how fuel cards have ran, with what happens to people, what's happened to other truck stops and these formerly free spots, is that rent eventually had to come due, and it's better to get due, and that rent's better being due at the hands of working with Truck Parking Club than opposed to the competitors, with how the future lays out. Because with how the vision goes is, as we're able to add more properties, if Truck Parking Club is able to kind of be the one to ride this wave, and there's more and more truck parking available, then the cost will have to come down. And I think that the competition would make it either way more affordable or starts working back into being more free. What I do know is, I know that we're in the process of subscription-based modeling. We have the wallet as it is. There's a lot of access to discounts and working with promo codes, and I head on our partner program to get out there for our affiliate marketing. Whereas that's not going to exist if the competition is the one who dives into this. And so it's not, does it suck? Yes, absolutely. But it's been sucking for them. And I think it's been sucking for a little bit of everybody. And I think that when you play the ball where it lies, it's the reason why I jumped on board with the team, is because it's the side of the field that I'm on a play on that's going to be the best possible scenario for drivers in the future, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally makes sense, and that's exactly what I was looking for. Thank you. Because there's been a lot of rumors that you guys have been one of those, predatory companies, like you mentioned, right? Those parking, like the mobile parking and all of them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that you guys were turning into that.
And it's really easy for that to happen, because that's the power of social media. And then it's like, the reason why I'm on this team is because I personally know the CEO and his vision. Whereas, like, I don't know who runs Park Mobile or their executive board, but at Truck Parking Club, I met them. They're at the Mid America Truck Show. So when I was still trucking, like, I met their team. And I met the people on their property team and their customer service, which is all staffed by drivers, former drivers. And then, our CEO alone, he just got off the road. He just went over the road for a week and a half with an owner operator, and was out there with him. And that's his second time doing it. So, the proof is definitely really there, is where the open honesty, the transparency that Truck Parking Club has between us and the rest of the industry is super open and fluid. Like, the CEO wants to hear feedback. He wants to have the conversations. He wants to talk to these people. But it is really easy where, if, popular people on TikTok platforms or wherever, if a video goes off and, with their, strong and sometimes validated opinion, the message can get misconstrued. But there's definitely nothing sort of predatory. Like, I know, like, the girls who work on the property team, they're definitely not out there like, those pharma people who worked for the Sacklers, like selling what's it called, pharmaceutical opioid drugs. Like they're not out there doing that. It's
Well, yeah.
it's very much a little bit more organic.
I've seen some really positive things. Like I've come across posts of drivers saying, I was in a really bad pinch and I called Truck Parking Club just on a whim, and their 24-hour service team was able to find them a place to park and even gave them a promo code so they could park that night for free. Like I've heard just some great things about your guys' customer service and listening to some podcast with your guys' customer service team before, and I just have to say it seems as though they're doing their best to keep a balance of everything and not be predatory and to be that useful asset to the trucking community from what I've seen.
Right, and trust me, Lombard, I was just bringing that up because I've seen it in my area where free parking has gotten taken over, and I've heard it from other drivers as well. So that rumor started because of that, right? So I wanted to get it on recording with you guys actually talking about it because I have seen a lot of good comments about you guys too.
Yeah, no, man, I appreciate that, and I love
real
being able to
quick.
get
I
it on the
accidentally
record.
dropped Ignacio. I've invited him up like 30 times again. I don't know if he's not seeing it or whatever, but Ignacio, sorry about that. Come back up. Oops.
Good old Michael, but
So and get Ignacio up here, and then we can kind of get wrapped up. And
yeah, we've
like
only
I
got
said,
like
like
3 minutes
we're gonna
left. So
we're definitely gonna reopen this to other things because there's been some other content material been prepared that I was hoping we were gonna be able to get into tonight. But this has been, I think, vastly successful and I think really constructive and positive for Mike Lombard to take back to the team. I'm sure he's got some notes he's taken down, and I'm sure he's going to share the recording and stuff with the Truck Parking Club team. And further improvements can be made. That's what this is all about. This is what TRAC is all going to be about. This is the responsibility and accountability and consequence understanding that we're aiming for